Soundstripe.
All right, welcome back to our first official episode of the In Our Headspace podcast. Excuse me. So this one is going to be much more. I don't want to say structured because we're still not structuring anything, but as you can tell, I'm at least doing an intro this time, not doing it in post, and also just kind of taking what we learned from episode 0 and trying to improve this one as much as we can. So we said last time that we're going to talk about the theory of aliens existing.
I don't know if you call it a theory.
Oh, making statements.
Maybe.
But, well, and obviously I can't predict what we're going to randomly move on to next time because we went from science, like animal testing and science last time to like the 12th dimension.
Let's talk about religion.
I vote no.
It's a good conversation.
But anyways, so who do you want to start, or what are your thoughts on aliens? Like, obviously you think they are out there, and I expressed my feelings on it last time.
See, thing about aliens, again, like from my point of view and the information that I have, I could basically go off of my fantasy about aliens and other people's fantasies and other people's theories and all that stuff. I forgot who I heard this from, but I think they called it like anthill theory. And it was basically saying, like, you know, if there is an alien species that's so advanced, that's going around the universe, the galaxy, their galaxy, like, why would they take a pit stop here to be like, well, look at these guys when they're like compared, we'd be like an anthill.
That's but what if they were?
Because how many humans?
Some humans still stop and look at anthills, though.
That's true. A very few amount, I would imagine, but yes.
I don't know. I think I've thought about this theory. It's by no means like, oh, this is the real one, but like I've thought about. I think, like, imagine we are part of another being's science experiment in the terms of they were studying their universe, right? And they were like, oh, the Big Bang happened.
Yeah.
And so then they got to the point in their scientific research that they were able to like recreate on a smaller scale a Big Bang to see what would happen. And it's like by no means like their whole universe. It's like within this thing that they're testing on, right?
Yeah.
And then they do it, and then all of a sudden they create a Big Bang, and that's where we came from. And then it's like, what if we're like the size of a cell in comparison to their reality? Obviously, I believe less in that. I thought about that one as more of like a little fun thing to think about. But like in reality, time is so warped for us, like as humans. We've only been around for a couple, 100,000 years or something?
I'm shit at history.
It's like not even a million years, I don't think. If it is, even if it was a million or so years, like maybe it was a couple million years.
I think like, because you start getting into like different species of human, like Cro-Magnon and shit like that.
Well, yeah, and like even the earliest stages of mammals. And it's like, even that hasn't even been happening on Earth for like a fraction of its compared lifetime, being 4.5 billion years. Theoretically, if you talk to the flat earthers, Flat Earth Society, the Earth has only existed for a couple 100,000 years.
Isn't that religion?
Is it? Well, I guess it could. Yeah, I'd say that fits in similar category, but it's less based on. It's more scientifically based in terms of they believe it as a science view rather than their faith views. But anyways, beside the point. Humans, our life has been such a blip in the universe's existence that like there's a chance, and the Earth's, yeah. There's a chance that like we will never come in contact with aliens even if they're out there because we haven't lived long enough.
Hopefully there's some on Mars.
Like human lifespan can't even manage to survive getting out of our solar system.
That's why we got to be like, just turn ourselves into cyborgs. That's what we're going to do.
Or cryostasis.
Something like that. We're going to upload our consciousness to a computer.
That's totally, I feel like eventually something like that's going to pop up.
Yeah, like what we're going to do, like our current bodies, they're too flawed.
Yes.
Like being like, take your current body and make it. Yeah, exactly. Like saying like, take your current body and make it immortal. It's like why? Your body sucks.
Yeah. There's not much benefit to the modern human body, if I'm being honest.
So like, I don't know. That's why I'm excited. Like, because you know the game Cyberpunk 2077.
Yes, I don't really know much about it. I just know there's a lot of hype around it.
Yeah, like I really like the concept because this also kind of goes into economics. Like, for example, in economics, if you took the richest dude from like Kings and Knights, a person working at McDonald's probably has a better life than they do. I'm not even kidding.
That makes sense.
We have toilet paper. They could take a hot shower.
Their options were way more limited.
They have like unlimited access, or not unlimited. Like they have a lot of like access to information through the internet.
Yeah.
Like comparatively, like that king from however long ago is the richest. You know, is living probably the best out of the people relative around him. But now we could take someone, quote unquote, like a commoner, peasant, or whatever, and they'd be living better than that king right now. In our society.
It's just the scaling of it. But wait, so what about Cyberpunk?
Yeah, so what I find cool about the whole society in that game is that everyone's like part machine now.
Like enhanced or like
yes, there's people that are cyborgs. I'm assuming there's also like full biological humans, but a huge part of the game is like futuristic. People are cyborg. Some people are just, or not, they're not even people. They're just machines that are androids, just full robot.
Okay, yeah.
But what I like about it is like, in some of the trailers, they have like, it's like this girl and she's looking at a mirror and you can only see like the top half of her face. She's like doing her makeup, but then it zooms out and she's like half robotic. She's like missing her jaw. And what I found crazy about it in terms of looking like a beauty standard, like, when you get this advanced where you can start doing machinery, you could actually like start applying math, like a 618 ratio to your face. Like, you could basically turn yourself into whoever you want. And that's what I kind of like about looking at the game, is that there's a lot of quote unquote like attractive features on people, and they're able to do that not through like how we do. It's like hard, like, you know, like if you want to look good, you exercise.
Yeah,
now there's obviously drugs you can take and stuff like that. But I think that's what I found so fascinating, because in order for you to receive, like, you know, you want to look good, you want to feel good, you exercise, blah blah blah. You physically look good, you physically feel good, or mentally feel good. But when looking at what the future holds, you know, people don't want to wait, you know, months, weeks. They don't necessarily want to work hard for a particular thing.
Yeah, it's instant gratification.
Yeah, and it would be a lot easier, for example, if you want to do like a beauty thing, if the technology to make you beautiful became so well developed that everyone had access to it.
Yeah.
It would make everyone, it would make, I don't know if you want to call it life easier, but everyone would be more beautiful, quote unquote.
But then the standards would raise.
That too, yes.
Yeah.
But it's just very interesting to look at, because.
So you're saying like in this game,
I just really like the concept of having that stuff applied. I don't know, just like in a video game, because like it's something to think about. It's something to think about.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I was talking about this because we were talking about going to space, our imperfect bodies, which is probably why I talked about it.
Oh yeah. Like our human bodies couldn't handle not living on Earth.
Yeah, and like So when I was going back to like critiquing our bodies and saying like, I think the goal would be not to make your current body immortal or however you want to put it. It would to figure out a better way, a different way, rather than just doing your current body.
Yeah. And so we were talking about uploading your consciousness into a machine.
That'd be weird.
And you've heard of the Neuralink, right?
I'm pretty sure I have.
Elon Musk's
I've heard some stuff about it.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? Because in my opinion,
I don't know much about it.
I don't really either, but I just know that I don't want to be one of the beta testers.
Yeah, see, and that's the crazy thing. Maybe we're, from what I understand, I believe that in terms of technology, we grow exponentially. You could start from 2000 and just look at the difference on our smartphones.
It's all based on tools.
Phones.
Yes. This tool can now create this many things, but then if you can create a tool that does it even faster and faster and faster, then anyways.
And this goes for basically everything in life.
Yeah.
In general, I don't think you want to be the beta tester. But it'll probably, unless we kill each other before, we nuke everything.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Because the first stages will always be the roughest. It'll all like, those pictures when it's like, look at this hard drive from like the 19s, whatever. That's like, I don't know, like half a gigabyte. And it's fucking huge.
It's like 400 megabytes.
Yeah, and it costs like a fucking fortune to just get it.
Yeah.
Now, that's probably how it's going to be in the beginning, where it's really inefficient. It barely fucking works, but it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just have
so many problems.
Yeah, but you have the crazy tech enthusiasts that are like, oh, I got to do it. I got to do it. The type of people the type of people that, line up at the Apple store and wait for the new phone because they got nothing better else to do.
Calling them out.
Yeah. Or the same people that are, okay, I think Teslas are actually cool.
Yeah.
I watched some videos about it.
I think most people would agree. Yeah.
But those are the type of people, that go to the new Tesla event or whatever. I would imagine those are the type of people that wouldn't mind trying that stuff firsthand and be like, oh, look at me.
Into me, Elon.
Yeah. And I'm sure they're doing that also for some, and I'm sure there's some general enthusiastic people about it, but I'm also sure there's people that view it as some sort of, what do you call it? No, like, they're doing it for like social reasons.
Oh, okay. Like, oh, I'm the first one to do this.
Yeah.
I know there is another point of view on it. That is, I want to be contributing to
the lab
science. Rat? Yes. I want to be in the forefront of the scientific discovery and witness it myself. I don't care if it kills me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is another, it's another perspective on it, which I can see.
Yeah. I know ethical wise, people really hate this stuff because
testing on human bodies and stuff.
Yeah. But also when it comes to, oh my God, what's the word? I've talked to you about this before. What's like the gene editing stuff? What's it called? Not GIMP. That's the that's a course. It's not stem cell.
You and Cameron were talking about it.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot. The gene editing stuff.
Now, the harder I think about it, the farther away it goes.
You're
gonna have to look it up. Why you do that? I just want to say, like, at what point do we
CRISPR,
yes. At what point do we become, I don't know, like what, there's got to be some sort of rebound to because we're in the information age, technological revolutions like crazy.
Yeah.
And at what point do we face the rebound of that, where we've been going on 20 years now, even a little bit longer in 20 years.
So you're referring specifically to like a negative consequence?
Yes, but I don't mean it in like a Great Depression type negative.
Yeah,
I mean it in just like, where's the flip side of all of this?
Yeah, I think that's some of it right now. I'm not studying this obviously, so I'm just going off of, what I think and what I observe, although my viewpoint is very narrow to what it could be.
Right.
People's social interaction is what pisses me off. And I would imagine, I've read books, I've listened to some lectures from people before our time, before smartphones, that talk about stupid people. Those seem to exist since the beginning.
Yes.
But what bothers me a lot is, I forgot, Jordan Peterson talked about some of this. I don't think he's the one that coined it, but he said like current America is like a 13-year-old girl's fantasy. That's what everyone's living right now, a 13-year-old girl's fantasy. And
go on.
That's what pisses me off, because a lot of people that I talk to, girls and guys, they have this fucked up, annoying viewpoint of how the world is from whoever they're following on Instagram, because they just see pictures of these people doing these things.
Yes.
And also, maybe a bunch of people I just know are not socially awkward. Like, people are just fucking weird, man.
Okay, here's like, something we could transition to that is
weird
on that point. The NPC theory.
Yeah, was that the one where it's like you don't have an inner monologue? Was that NPC theory?
Yes, that's part of it. So, something that not everybody likes to think about, because it is sort of.
I'm still not fully behind it, because I'm in like, and I could be completely wrong for doing this, but I've been like, I hold people in a higher light, and I've been I've been let down, because I'm like, there's no way you're that fucking stupid. I was like, oh no, you're that fucking stupid, and so I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
That's like, I think it's a fun idea. I'll say that.
Yes,
I certainly enjoy it.
It's an interesting one, and I'll get into it in a second. But like, it's more on the nihilistic side of like negativity, but it's interesting. It's like, so the theory is, there's people out there who don't have an inner monologue, and what that means is when you think in whatever language you speak as if you're talking. And that doesn't make you crazy, but it's like, obviously it doesn't make you crazy. Anyways, so then there's people, the theory is that there's people out there who don't have that, and they're just like, they exist to be basically side characters in people's lives. So like, an example is like, don't take this the wrong way if you fit into this category. This is just an example, but like, say a gas station clerk. Or
what an asshole you are.
I know. A Walmart greeter, I guess. Like, these are definitely jobs real people have.
Sign holder.
Sign holder, except for the guy.
I don't know how he does it. Street. I don't know how he does it.
Anyways,
like 90+ degree weather.
Yeah, and he's just like
happiest motherfucker ever,
waving like crazy.
The human mind is something incredible. That's what I took away from him.
Dude, his passion is sign holding. I swear. Considering how long anyways. I think it's interesting because it's like, oh yeah, it really does feel like there's people who just, all they do is they wake up, go into their very common, like, uninteresting job, exist, and then go home, go to sleep, and like, think about like, in terms of like a selfish point of view where it's like, you see someone, you don't think about them then going home, making dinner, talking to their wife or whatever, talking to their husband, going to bed, waking up, all this thing. You don't think about that when you interact with someone. So it's like, it's the mindset of like, oh, they, quote unquote, they despawn after I leave. Like, they don't do anything. And there's funny parts
theory. Simulation theory.
There's funny parts of the theory where it's like, where these people will believe like, oh, I'll interact with this person, I go away, and then all the NPCs despawn, and then they respawn right when I come back in.
Okay. So my view on the NPC theory and the whole inner monologue.
Yeah.
I think it's right to a certain degree, but I definitely think it's over exaggerated.
Yeah.
For example, some Greek dude who said this, something along the lines of,
here it is again with the Greek dudes.
I know they said everything.
Jeez.
Like it's like the idiot, like, or the common man, drinks to live, or drinks and eats to live. But then, the better person or more successful person, or no, I had it backwards. The common man eats and drinks to live.
Yeah.
And then, the flip side or the opposite of the common man eats and drinks to live. Did I say it?
You said the same thing twice. I'm
Jesus
so
Christ.
confused. The common man
lives to eat and drink. There you go.
Okay,
they live to eat and drink.
And then the flip side
is they drink and eat to live.
Got it. Okay.
I don't know why I had such a hard time saying that.
Maybe you're one of them.
You're right. Which I feel like that relates to the NPC theory.
Yeah.
Where people get so caught up in their lives. Mm-hmm. They get so busy. They get stuck in
routines.
They get stuck in the routine of being mediocre. It's not shitty enough where they're like, I have to change my life. Here it is. It's
complacency and getting comfortable with where you're at and not pushing to the next level.
Yes.
And here is a word of advice from a very inexperienced in life 20-year-old. And I know I don't understand it beyond my age.
You're a kid, you don't know anything.
Yes, but at the same time, it's almost like you got to keep that fire ignited, and you have to look within yourself and understand why you do things. Why are you working where you're at? Oh, it's because it's been a successful career path. You've worked your way up the ladder and you're making good money and supporting your family. That makes sense. Okay, what are you doing that isn't work, though? Spending time with your family. Fantastic. Do you have personal projects? Do you have things you can do that aren't the constants in your life? It's like perfect example is this podcast. This is like an extra thing on top of my normal life and my normal schedule. So and it's harder to do the older you get because you get less and less time with work and kids and responsibilities. But it's also there's got to be at least a shred there where you've got to have the ambition or the drive to try something new just once. It doesn't have to be the same thing consistently. It could be oh, I'm going to go do this today. Oh, I'm going to build a shelf. Oh, I'm going to go and experience this new thing. And it's I think that's very important to help people with just becoming stagnant in terms of even just mental health, and becoming less trapped in your own head, and being explorative with what you can do, because you only have however long, and
you die tomorrow.
Exactly. I'm totally not a full on embracer of live life to the fullest every day, because I don't do anything most of the time other than creative work. But
yeah,
it's still a matter of you doing something other than just existing. And I think that's where the basis of the NPC theory is. There's these people out there who get on their routines and their schedules and they don't break from them, and they just exist within that. Wake up, eat food, go to work, eat food, work more, come home, make food, eat food, interact for 3 hours with the people I live with, go to bed, repeat.
Yeah, Charles Bukowski has really good poems on that. He had this one poem, I forgot how it went, but he's a very pessimistic his poems are very pessimistic,
like nihilism.
Yeah, like he just had a shit life in general.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that some of that was also his own cause, his own because of himself.
How long ago was it?
What do you mean?
This person, like, when did they exist?
I think he died like 1970. I don't remember.
Okay,
or
so he probably lived through the depression and stuff.
I don't know my history very well.
Okay, that's okay. I'm not trying to call you out, but I'm just saying like that might be a reason. Anyways,
yeah, like
battle hardened.
Like some of the he like, for example, in an interview, he talked about how he lost his virginity at 24 to a whale.
What?
Yeah.
Oh God.
And
that's so mean.
Yeah. And he definitely had a drinking problem, smoking problem. He drank so much.
Mm-hmm.
In another interview, he was talking about he's like with like some other girl. I think her name was Jane.
Mm.
He was in a hotel, and he had he said he had the worst hangover he's ever had.
Ugh.
And so he opened a window in the hotel they were at, just trying to get fresh air. And then as he was getting fresh air, he saw someone fall head down from where he was at. And he's like, did someone just fall from the sky? And then he's like, hey, Jane, someone just fell from the sky, blah, blah, blah. This dude is weird.
They fell out of the clouds, man.
Yeah. He thinks he might have lived and just probably had
that's good, at least.
Long-term damages,
yes.
Probably crippled.
Nah.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't die, honestly, because he went head first.
Yeah.
But anyways, he has a poem, and it talks about the common man and how they're mediocre and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But how resentful that person can get. And he called it, but their anger will be perfect and all that. Which I find kind of scary, because I connect that to you hear these people like school shooters,
mm-hmm.
where it's just someone that gets made fun of, good for nothing, shit at school, socially awkward,
begin to hate themselves as much as everybody else, and they tend to care for life.
They seem to suck at everything in life, mm-hmm. but then their anger's so perfect they do something monstrous.
Yeah,
which is what he talked about.
Right.
And then he goes on other poems where he talks about, the common man and how the most eventful thing they do is go to the store to get a can of tuna. That's their highlight of their day.
Exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
That's scary, because that's a lot of people is the thing.
It is. Oh yeah. And especially, and I feel like that's even worsened by like our increased connectivity. There's less genuineness. I don't 100%
agree.
There's, I don't know the correct term.
Not 100%. But
no, but yeah, I feel like there's a lot less people being connected, even though there's a lot more ways to connect with people. And
yeah,
it's like, and it's mostly caused by a separation between people.
It's the 13-year-old girl's fantasy.
And like, there's no consequences. There's no, like, I heard a really good example. I don't remember from who, but it was recently on a video I was watching. They were like, it's easier for people online to just like spew things at you, and just be mean to you, because there's no threat of them being punched in the face.
And what's the repercussion?
Yeah.
What's the repercussion?
They can just cut off communication from you afterwards.
Dude, that's why I find it so appalling. You and I have said choice words to each other and to others
on online video game chats.
Yes.
As the landscape.
But it's crazy, because there was this one of these like drama channels on YouTube,
mm-hmm.
and I just listened to one of their episodes. I don't normally, because I hate, like, it's just annoying. Like, why would I want to keep up with this?
Yeah.
But I was bored, so I was like, whatever. And I think they were dating, was the story. They were streamers.
Two streamers dating each other?
Yeah, they're playing Fall Guys, Kay.
Oh, God.
And
that was a recent one.
Yeah, well, like, that's something you play to have fun with friends.
Yes.
And so he died on like one of the because I know like the very first is like I forgot how it works.
Yeah,
he was eliminated in like the first round, which is like I guess supposed to be like the easiest.
Well, yeah, it goes easy to hard depending on how many people there is, and then you have to watch everybody finish the next games if you die in that.
And you know, like I could get really complicated and be like, you know, maybe the way like I'm trying to get this dude reacted really bad.
Okay.
But maybe he reacted back because he had like something going on, blah blah blah.
It was something more than the game.
Yeah, like it could have been. I don't know. But I'm just okay. So he's playing with his girlfriend. Okay.
Oh God, yeah.
Or the person who reported it said they were dating. She was a minor and he was like 30. But anyways,
oh God.
So he died in like the very first round or whatever. And he kept repeating. He's like, I've never died on that mini game before, and he kept repeating it, and then he's like, I'm gonna fucking drown you, to his girlfriend, because he was just pissed at her, and then she laughed it off because
you wouldn't take that seriously from a partner.
And then she's like, why are you being serious? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking kill you, and like all that crazy stuff. He got in trouble, obviously.
Oh, he didn't actually do it.
No, he didn't actually do it.
Oh my God.
But you know,
but his emotions were
like, he kept saying he was being serious, and he kept saying he was going to do it. He kept saying like, you're going to float down the river like a piece of driftwood, or like like he just kept talking out of his ass,
just out of pure anger to try to hurt or get a reaction.
Yeah, and you know, maybe people were like that back then as well. I have no clue, honestly. But it certainly feels like that has been intensified, because I've seen like, typically from our experience, you get treated like that from someone you don't know.
Yes.
You don't. But
someone who has no connection to you. Yeah.
Yes, but to think like, you know, kind of like, I would imagine this would apply, like another Greek guy. You do brave acts to become brave. You do courageous acts to become courageous. You do honest acts to become honest. You know, you do cowardly acts to become cowardly. You do lazy acts to become lazy.
Yep.
And so I'm sure, you know, you'd be a toxic, you continue to do toxic actions, become a toxic person.
Correct.
And so I would imagine then, you know, simply by being a piece of shit to someone else and constantly doing it, I wouldn't be surprised if that would bleed over into your personal life.
Oh yeah. If all you're doing online is yelling at people and putting them down, chances are in your normal day-to-day life, that is your reaction to people when they piss you off or when they make you upset. Because no, they're not doing it all the time probably, but like they're probably that person that acts neutral, and then you do something that annoys them or they don't like, and all of a sudden they start going off on you and telling you all these toxic things. And it's like, I don't know how that would necessarily come from specifically social media / internet / video games / just online communication in general. I think like that mostly, to your point, is it's less so about the vehicle that they're using. It's more so about the fact that they're doing it all of the time.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's crazy because, you know, like let's just say he was playing a game before he was talking to her, and he was already pissed off.
Yeah,
and it takes like something so minor to just
tip
it over and like have the bottle fall, and for that reaction to come out. But again, my crazy, like, I don't think I've ever gotten to the point where I'm like telling someone that I personally know that I'm going to kill them.
Oh, God. No,
you know what I mean?
I don't think you have, Jay.
I don't think I have.
You're not that broken and destroyed inside.
Yeah, well, like, and I wonder if a lot of this has to do with being like desensitized. And I'm sure there's I would imagine there's a difference to what boys are typically desensitized to and what girls are desensitized to.
Yeah, based on, at least in American culture, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know what the fuck's going on
outside of America. Typical typical American fashion, we don't know anything else.
I'm a typical dumb fat American. I don't know anything. That's one thing I also hate about social, because it seems like the stereotype is right now. I don't even know if it's probably just truth, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, like, you know, guys typically play the games. Yeah. Girls typically are on social media.
Right.
Obviously both.
Obviously, there's guys on social media. Yeah. And I think the girls playing video games is a little harder because, like, there's a huge thing going around right now that, like, it's harder for girls to even start playing, at least when it comes to voice chat, it's harder for girls to start playing video games with groups of guys because it's a very gatekept thing.
Like, again,
gate kept.
Yeah, like, I'm also kind of fascinated. Like, it's such a weird culture, in my opinion. Like, they act like fucking monkeys. Put it simply.
Yeah.
They really act like monkeys. It's
literally like male monkeys. When a female shows up, they're like, "Who? Female?" Or they're so like there's such a dark pit in the bottom of their soul that they're like, women.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. It's so crazy. I feel like there's a high chance it's either going to be the simp type.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be the like fully red pilled, like,
oh no, okay, so there's
crazy.
What is it? It's the simp and the what's the I literally just had
I should know, but I don't know.
It's the incel.
Incel, yeah, incel.
Those are the two lingos.
Like, but it's so crazy because, at least from my experience, that's how.
And this is a generalization, but we're allowed to do that since we're within this.
Yeah, we're in
demographic of people. Yeah.
I see it happen a lot. Like, like, it's a rarity to see someone act normal. When a girl's
here's the thing, like, a guy joins a voice chat. Like 80% of the time, no one says anything. Like, they don't even reply to the person.
It's usually you talking to yourself. Yeah. Like, you say something and you're like, oh, I guess I'm just a dumbass because I'm talking to myself.
No one's replying. And then, like, a girl's like, hey, could I do this? And they're like, hello? Oh, who's that? Oh my God. Oh, it's a girl? Oh my God, you don't know how to play the game. And it's like instant, like, and okay. Very exaggerated and generalized, but at the same time, not really. It's one of those situations where it's like, it sounds. What?
It is the 13-year-old girl fantasy where they're like, if I talk to this girl, she will be my wife, or whatever the fuck's going on in their head.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Or they're playing the 13-year-old girl fantasy.
It's a lack of attention, and a lot of the time it's self-inflicted by these people who choose not to.
You think they go outside?
Go outside. Yes, exactly. And they're not encouraged to go outside by anybody around them. I think that's the worst part, is like, whether it be the parents or even that person's friends or anybody, literally anybody around this person isn't like, hey, we should go do this. And I don't think it's productive to be like, hey, you go outside, because you think, if they don't have the motivation to go outside by themselves, what is you telling them to do that gonna do? It's more it's more of an appealing offer for someone to be like, hey, you want to go do this with me? Hey, we should go do this. Like, inviting them rather than demanding them. And it's just, anyways, that was like a little side tangent.
So as I was saying, for guys, at least, like, the toxicity just seems, it's just crazy how so many are toxic.
Yes.
And I feel like video games really did contribute to it.
Video games, like, social media, lack of consequences in general.
Yeah.
It's.
And so I wonder if it's like, for example, like, one thing that also pisses me off, and I see this happen all the time, it'll be a group of, like, I don't know, 4 girls, 4 or 5, however many.
Yep.
Give me 2 around our age.
Yep.
They're out at, like, a restaurant and they're looking at their fucking phone texting.
Yep.
And I'm just like,
here's my perspective on it. I'm less so of the, all right, everybody, phones in the basket. First one to ring has to pay the bill. It's like, You can look at your phone and communicate with the people you need to communicate. But when you are going out with somebody who your intention is to spend time with them, spend time with them. Don't be like, okay, time to take a picture and post it and type it up right here. It's like, take a picture now, post it later. Oh, like, I do agree. Like, I do think it's important to have your phone on you because it's such an important, like,
it's a good tool for communication. It really is.
Emergencies, like, all of that I totally get. But, like, you don't need to be hanging out with one person and then be simultaneously in a full-on conversation with someone else.
You're not regulating yourself, which, again, like, literally applies to, like, everything in life. Like,
moderation.
Exactly, moderation. Like, if you drink every fucking day, you're going to have a problem.
Yes.
If you do any drug,
smoking, like,
if you eat too much sugar, you know, like, it just applies to everything where just put some moderation on yourself and control yourself.
Variety. And this all kind of loops back around to what I was saying about the routines.
Oh, yeah.
People get in these routines and then they're like, they don't want to leave the routine. But, and to be fair, for a certain chunk of the demographic that we've been talking about, a lot of it is hormonal. So the younger people are more likely to have these problems and then grow out of them. But the people who have passed that window of growing out of it and they continue to do it, not because it's like a phase or whatever, but because it's the only thing they know, that's when it's a really big problem and it becomes that person's responsibility. Not to say it's not your responsibility before then, but I think it's way more your responsibility the more of an adult and more independent you become, because I was just having this conversation yesterday with my dad. It's about taking control of your life, having agency over your path, and being able to basically say, I'm going to make this decision for myself, and this is why. And just know why you're making your decisions. And if the reason why you're doing something is because I always do it, then, like, second guess it at least. You don't have to, like, not do it, but think about it and consider it. And next time that comes around, be like, oh, I've been doing this because it's just what I do, not because I want to.
Yeah.
And being able to say, like, I'm going to do this now. Oh, I'm going to take control and make this decision. Oh, I'm going to stop doing this every night. Or, oh, I'm going to take a break from this at least. If you don't want to hard commit to, like, not doing something, make yourself take breaks. Like, and that's literally what moderation is being like, I still want to do this regularly, but I'm only going to do it these days or from this time to this time, or I'm only going to do this once a week or whatever it is, whatever you want to do. Have structure, and all it really takes is, like, laying it out in front of you and seeing it for your mind to be like, okay, this is manageable.
Mm-hmm.
Same with money. Just take whatever you have to pay, lay it out in front of you and be like, okay, now I know what to expect.
Yeah.
It's like a pain in the ass to be and stressful and anxiety ridden to, like, put yourself in a situation where you're limiting the information that you can be getting. Like, there was a point in my life where I was not paying attention to how much in bills I was paying each month. And I was just like, there's my paycheck. I don't know how much is coming out of it for bills, but I'll just click pay bill until I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, now it's like, okay, this costs me this much, this much, this much, this much every month.
Yeah.
I get this much spending, this much saving, done. Like, and it's just that simple of just structure, or just communicating with yourself, even, like, on such a basic level of just letting yourself understand what you're doing in your life. And it's such a, like, that's a very, like, abstract thing to say, but I think it's a very underutilized thing nowadays, where people just fly by the seat of their pants and just hope things work out. and they just, I'm just
go with
jumping
the flow.
in. Yeah, going with the flow. Yeah, and not having a plan. And you don't need a full plan, but you need to know where you're headed at least.
Yeah, that's one thing. So basically, to like go back to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
A lot of it is like personal responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
At what point do you be like, okay, like this was my fault, not X Factor's fault? And that's one thing I hate trying to talk about responsibility to people because no one wants to fucking be like, are you sure that wasn't your fault?
No one wants to be told you're wrong.
Yeah, or be like, that was your fault. No one wants to hear that. And so that's what I hate about trying to talk to people about responsibility.
Yeah.
It's because that is definitely one of those things. Because first off, not even on top of like responsibility, like someone could say 2 + 2 is 5 and they'll fight to the fucking death because they don't want to be wrong.
Die on their hill. Yeah.
And so then when you're getting to like personal responsibility now, that's definitely one of those things where it's like, I definitely don't, for certain people, I would say the correct thing to do is not be direct about it and just be like, I hope to God you figure it out. And it comes within you, your self-realization where like, oh, that was on me.
Yep. And I went through one of those even like right out of high school, working a job I hated working.
Yeah.
Took me it took me 6 months of working a job I absolutely hated for me to be like,
was it 6 months?
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yeah, actually.
It was 6 months?
It was June to the very beginning of June to the very end of November.
Imagine if you're still doing it.
Oh God. No, thank you.
We probably wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. And it's just I would put myself in the victimizing situation where I'd be like, oh, they don't treat me right, and I hate the hours I work, and they don't care about what I'm doing, and I don't feel valued. And it's like, yes, those are issues. But after 6 months, it's like, I'm letting that happen to myself.
Yeah.
I am 100% free to just leave. And I wasn't. And it was for external reasons, and I have anxieties and things like that, but like, and pressures and just being out of high school and all that. But eventually you get to the point where you kind of get fed up with yourself and you're like, screw it. I just need to leave. Like I need to, like at this point, it is my fault that I'm still working here because I do nothing but complain about it. And yet I clock in every day.
Yeah, you complain about it, but then you don't do anything to try to fix it.
Yeah. And then that's when it hit me. I was like, okay, I need to start planting the seeds for my future, at least now, and just start moving towards it, like move towards the light at the end of the tunnel. And it didn't happen immediately. I quit and then worked at some other place and broke my foot. Like it took me another 6 months after that for then, and like multiple disappointments in between before I got to where I was wanting to go to even get started on that path, because it was like worked 2 other jobs, both jobs treated me like crap, and like and then I was like trying to do things on the side, and then I kept getting like flaked out on, and like there was nothing working out. And I literally I almost gave up trying to, because I'm into video editing, and I put my, I guess at the time, what my portfolio was, and I put together a reel and all of that. And it was all high school stuff, and it was all personal project stuff. So it wasn't anything like super impressive, but I put it out there anyways, just as something. And then I'd go on these websites and I'd be like, oh, this person needs this done. I'm going to see if I'll apply for it and see if they'll accept it. And then they'd accept it and then just not give me the footage to edit, and then I'd just be ghosted. And so that happened like 3 or 4 times, and like I was like trying every single day, like clicking apply, and like on anything that I felt like I could do, and I got a 0% success rate out of it. And after 6 months of that, I was like beaten to the ground, like it's not working, I'm doing something wrong. And 2 weeks later, I got messaged by like my current employer that I've been working for a year now on the path that I want to be. And it's like, it's totally that like that Facebook, like classic, like Facebook meme where it's like, the guy who's mining and he's like an inch
God,
away from like the treasure and he's like, "I'm going home."
Yeah.
And he, like, anyways, it's so cheesy. But it was essentially that, where it's like I almost gave up when I shouldn't have. And if anything, that's like a testament to like, it's cheesy, don't give up, but like at least don't stop trying a little bit. If you just abandon something, you are guaranteeing 100% that it's not going to happen. And if at the end of the day, if at least you can say, I did my best, I tried. I at least tried to move forward. Honestly, that's all you need. You don't need to beat yourself up that you didn't get to the destination right away. It's like, just based on pure odds, you're going to reach for the thing you're going for.
Yeah, like, so going back to what you said, like the light at the end of the tunnel,
Mm-hmm.
because what other people do, as we were talking before, they get stuck in a cycle where they're not even moving towards it at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
But if you take tiny steps, you're at least making progress towards the light.
Yeah.
Where other people, they're not making any progress, and maybe some are even backtracking.
Yeah.
And getting farther away. And so I think people lose track, and this could get back to instant gratification, where it might be a fucking marathon for you to get to whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be next week. It's not going to be next month. It might be next year. It might be 2 years. You know, like, who the fuck knows? And that's just, I think what a lot of people lose focus on as well is, like, I think everyone should be in a state of improvement, like moving towards that light.
Yeah.
Because improvement's improvement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
at least know your next step.
You can't take that for granted and be like, oh, it was only this. It was like, at least it wasn't zero, or at least it wasn't negative, and you were like, oh, like, I'm farther than where I started.
Yeah. I think like you don't need to know, and I think it's intimidating to be like, I'm supposed to plan out the next 5 years. I don't know how to do that. And it's like, you don't have to. Just you're on your track to what right now? Like, what are you moving towards right now? You don't need to necessarily know what's next until you cross that bridge, but you need to know what you're moving towards now. That way you can, like, as soon as you're able to recognize that, you'll be able to move towards it way faster. And I think the biggest lesson I think that I get out of it is like, you can't be complacent. And I said this at the beginning, but like, complacency is where all of it stems from. It stems from like you being like, okay, I don't want anything to change right now. And that, trust me, this is different from being like, I'm happy where I'm at. That's different.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is like, oh, I've tried so many times and it's not working. I guess I'm fine where I'm at right now. And being complacent in unhappiness, I guess, is the more specific thing to say. And being like, well, it's not that bad. Could be better, but I don't really want to make it better. And people get happiness out of a multitude of things. Right now we're talking about careers and jobs, but it even applies to people who are beyond that point in their life where they've already gotten to their career choice and they've already gotten a family and they've already done this, but like now it's like, well, now what? And honestly, I have no idea. Obviously, I'm not there yet, but I think it's like doing what makes you happy while also healthy. Because I don't agree fully with just do whatever makes you happy, because that could be damaging, because it goes back to that instant gratification. Instant gratification can make anybody happy. If someone walked up and was like, hey, do you want $100? Yeah, what do I have to do? Nothing. Here you go. You wouldn't be like, dang it. Damn, I didn't work for this. Like, yes, you could have that guilt, but you would still take the $100 unless you didn't need the $100. But
yeah,
I feel like that situation is like, it's such a fine line to walk, and it's definitely prevalent. And going back, like even looping back to the whole social media and like communication thing, that's another thing, is the instant gratification. Like people can get gratification out of bringing other people down and insulting people, and then they get the instant gratification of this person getting mad online and replying and getting under their skin and getting a reaction out of someone. And that's just people's lives. That's their hobby, is they go online and they're like, blah, 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 insult. Haha, got him. Nice. And then they move on to the next one. And it's like, they don't care about the person they're talking about.
Yeah. Like,
they don't even care about the thing they're saying. They're just like, I want to say something, the worst thing.
See, that's one thing that's pissed me off. Is, we all have insecurities.
Oh, yeah.
And what I hate about it, when I hear prevalent people have conversations where they talk about like the dating game and shit like that, at least in my eyes, they're like, oh, don't wait 30 minutes to respond. Do like all this
play the game.
Yeah,
that's
play the game.
Annoying.
And so I feel like this is how I fucking view it, and I could be wrong. But I'm just like, I feel like they're making it more complicated than it needs to be.
Just express your feelings, and if the person doesn't express the same feelings back, don't take it out on them.
For me, it's as simple as just be genuine and be yourself.
Yes.
Because every time I hear, not every time, but a lot of the times I hear people talk about this stuff, they try to beat around the bush and they try to be like, oh, I'm a perfect person.
It's manipulation in a sense.
Yeah, like that. But I just find it sad, disappointing. I don't know what the right word is for this, but like,
it's hard to see people self-destruct.
Yeah, well, like, again, it's just annoying because I don't like when people put up a facade. That's what it is.
Yes.
Because, again, that's not really you.
Yes.
And then when you go out to date someone and you try to put up the facade and then you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, that was so hard.
Yeah. Like, that was exhausting.
Yeah, like, it seems like you're kind of setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
You're setting an expectation for something that isn't real.
Because then we could be like, okay, well, why did you put up that facade? It was like, oh, I just wanted to impress them. And I'm just like, so you're having to pretend to be something you're not in order to get someone to like you. Like,
the number one thing in like dating movies where it's like, oh, I said I owned this Ferrari, but I rented it, and now you know. Like,
yeah, like for me, I just view, and maybe some people enjoy that stuff, but in general, people seem to be kind of tired of it, but yet they still do it for some fucking reason.
Yeah, the problem isn't necessarily, and I sort of kind of not agree with myself on this, but like,
all right,
it's not specifically that people do it. It's that people do these things that clearly they don't like and they hate it and they complain about it.
Yes.
And then they go and do it again. And it's like, it's one thing to do something dumb that I don't like.
I've certainly done that, by the way.
And it's another thing to do something dumb that you don't like and keep doing it. It's like, I know it's not as black and white simple as it's easier said than done. Trust me, I've been there. But like, it's all about like, back to like communicating with yourself and understanding why you're making the decisions you're making and doing things with intent and not acting on almost like a programming in your own brain that you've done to yourself because you've become complacent and comfortable in this routine.
Yeah, like for me, how I view it is, people have their vulnerabilities and people typically don't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
And specifically emotional wise.
Yeah.
And so that's why like some people probably put up these facades because
they put up walls and distance themselves so they don't get hurt.
But I feel like they're missing the whole point is that and maybe people don't want to find a long-term partner. But how I view it is the whole point is you're trying to find a long-term partner so that maybe they could help you during the time you need help, and vice versa. You help them when they need help, rather than trying to, again, put up this facade of, look how good my life is. Look at all this cool stuff I'm doing. But then secretly you're just like, you're on the brink of suicide, for example, or just something like drastically insane, or you have like a drinking problem.
Yep.
You have like a cocaine addiction, like
addiction in general.
In general, or maybe you're anorexic because you think you have to like put up this image, so you start starving. Like, there's just so much stuff that so many people have so many different problems. And it's all
society based.
And then this comes back to you not wanting to get hurt because you're like, oh, I have this problem, but I don't want people to know. And you like, I'm not saying go out and be like, yep, I'm insecure about this. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying
everybody has their demons inside their own head, and a lot of times with insecurities, you don't get over them. You can understand them and you can fight back, but at least speaking for personal experience, things that I'm confident about, I still have insecurities about. It's just they don't control my decisions.
People get imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Where they're like, oh, I made it, but I feel like I don't belong here.
Yeah, exactly. Or I didn't earn my way in or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's all a battle within your own head, and being like, your biggest enemy is yourself in all reality. Like, so many things are like, one of the things that motivated me in high school was like, and this, I don't remember if I heard this or I had just really started thinking about it more. Like, while you're over here worried about what everyone else is thinking about you, they aren't thinking about you. They're thinking the exact same thing about what you're thinking about them. So stop worrying about it. Like, people are going to think what they're going to think. And if they feel they need to vocalize it, that's their problem. They're going to face consequences wherever. You don't have to be the one giving them the consequences, because someone may stick up for you. Like, don't expect it. But at the same time, yes, stand your ground and stick up for yourself, but don't create problems just because you got offended, because they struck an insecurity. Like, sometimes you just got to like, okay, well, that was annoying and mean, but I'm okay. I survived. Like, it was words, and I know words are very hurtful, but again, what the words are doing is getting in your head and stirring the pot. Like, I don't know. I think when you're so worried about how other people view you, and you're unwilling to commit because you don't want to be hurt because you've been hurt before, which is understandable. But think about it like this, in a more simplified term of a pet, whether it be a dog or a cat or a fish or whatever you were attached to as a kid. If you had a pet, you would get a pet. The pet has a shorter lifespan than a human. The pet would die, pass away. You would be very upset and very hurt, and in cases damaged or whatever. But then you'd be totally open and willing to getting another pet that will inevitably pass away in your lifetime. And you will have to go through that exact same hurt again. It's no different from committing and loving someone and being hurt by it once. You can survive being hurt by it again. Yes, it'll make you a little more calloused and a little more distant at first, but distance to the point of the detriment of the other person is like not fair to the other person. And it's not fair to really any relationship in your life where because you've had one experience, you're reacting this way. It's okay to have it's natural to be sensitive or react in that way, but the maturity level of it comes when you recognize it and you reflect on it and you go, oh, I'm acting this way. I'm acting A because of B. I can either work on it. I can now make the decision to work on it, or think, okay, this is a healthy reaction. I will continue acting this way. And I think all it takes is that inner dialogue, going back to the NPC theory, all it takes is that inner dialogue, that communication with yourself, to then be sound in your decision and not be insecure in your decision. Like knowing why you made your decision is like half the battle with insecurity. It's like when someone calls you out and like, why are you doing this? And you're like, oh, I don't know. I did. Then like, that's a sign of you not being secure with your decision. But then, and I am aware that I am making, like, it's a way more complex situation, but in the best communicative terms I feel that I can come up with at the moment is like, you have to live with intent to be able to be secure in yourself to where other people can't have full control over your emotional stability. Like, and this is all in relation to social media and how people can be bullied online, but they can also be the bullies because of the same insecurity as the person they're bullying.
Yes.
And it's, I don't know. It's, if you just train, it's like a muscle. If you work the muscle and you build the muscle to be secure with yourself, to be socially competent, to be, and sometimes you can't control your social interaction, like your ability to interact socially. I know that, like, there are things that can limit you on that, but as long as you know, like, this is my range of ability and I'm working out that muscle within that range, I'm good. Like I can't lift 300 pounds. So why would I go and try to lift 300 pounds? I can lift, I don't know, but it's just lifting something manageable, but something that challenges you to then build the muscle, and then you can move to the next step. And if you can't, then you can't. Yes, it kind of plays into the stagnation thing I was talking about earlier, but there's ways you can go around it, like I talked about earlier, where you can, there's less controllable things that can affect it, but you can still have control over your life, regardless of the bad things that happen. You see people who are living through the worst circumstances humanly possible because they've got something that keeps them going. Don't know what it is. Sometimes knowing what you could have is worse than having the bad thing. If you just have the bad thing and that's all you know, you're probably going to be okay because you're human. But if you have the bad thing and the good thing is over there and someone else has it, that's when it becomes mentally a problem. So anyways, that is my tangent about
that was a fun tangent.
Securities. And this whole episode is turning out to be slightly more like deep than the last one, but I don't know. I like that we can go there, like being more introspective about it, especially on.
We're here to talk about whatever, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not quite an agenda here.
No, we started out on aliens, and it's kind of funny because
we didn't even get that deep into aliens.
No, we didn't. We kind of moved right on, but that's okay because I'm sure it'll come up again later. And we're not here to just talk about space and theories and time and science and stuff, but
yeah,
it's literally just a stream of consciousness flowing out of my mouth into the mic.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was the whole purpose of this podcast, is to share, at least.
I just simply viewed it as, you know, don't make it overcomplicated, just here to talk.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, I'm not aiming to end up somewhere. I'm just doing it. I'm just doing it to do it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Whatever happens.
Doing it because
it's fun.
In my opinion, I think what we talk about can be interesting and it can be valuable in some cases.
Yeah. Well, rather than doing this over a Skype call.
Yes, exactly.
At like 12 a.m.
Yeah.
We're doing it here.
Yeah, exactly. And we can share it with people for whoever wants / needs to hear it. And I may even need to hear this later on down the road, and I have it now. Like, that's the other value of it, is if I want to revisit a really interesting conversation that we had, I can. And anybody else can. And it's just an attempt to provide without an expectance of anything in return. I wouldn't care if we didn't get really any traction with this podcast.
I wouldn't either.
But I would still want to do it because I'm doing it for ulterior reasons.
I don't know. for me, I just enjoy talking.
Yeah.
Well, specifically about stuff like this. Because in public, I don't talk that often.
You don't want to empty talk.
Yeah. Small talk. It's boring. Who cares?
Yes. So, anyways, I think we've hit a little over an hour.
A little over an hour.
Yeah. I think I'm going to cut some stuff out. Nothing like, I don't think I'm going to do it as severely as last time.
Okay.
I really like the direction we went like the whole time today. But, yeah.
So, I already know what I want to talk about next podcast. So.
Perfect. Do you want to tease it or do you want to hold on to it?
I still want to get back into CRISPR.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. We'll
next time.
We'll talk about that next time. Because we did we said it. I remember.
Yeah, I think I said it once. I said it once.
You were gonna say it and then you forgot the name and then you looked it up. And then I was in the middle of talking at that point.
And then we just went along with wherever we ended up.
Okay, we'll talk about CRISPR next time then, because I'm interested because I don't really know much about it, so I'll probably learn some stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks for watching. I guess I could start advertising our stuff a little bit. We have a Facebook page. If you are interested, you can like it. We have all social media, so Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, obviously. And then on the video, if you want to just give suggestions, if like, I don't know, if you disagree with something we said, I think it'd be interesting to hear an opposing point of view, to just have a discussion. Nothing's like meant to be antagonistic or attacking. It's just an honest, I guess, dialogue. So yeah, anyways, anything you want to say before we go?
No, I got nothing.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next time we talk about CRISPR.